Hello, in this video I'll be carving a grotesque out of ginkgo wood. Here's some of my inspiration. I just love the irreverence of medieval art. If you consider what their life was like back then and this is how they respond to it, I just love it. And here's my sketch. Now on to the 3D sketch, if you will. A 2D sketch can get you pretty far, but if you really explore the form in 3 dimensions, you have a better reference to work from, and you can also come up with some more interesting shapes that are a lot harder to explore in just a front view, side view, top view sort of thing. Here's the completed clay maquette. Now there's no reason I can't deviate from this as I carve, but it's really useful to have something to fall back on. On the right there is the piece of ginkgo that I used to make the carving. It does not grow indigenously in America, but it's pretty common in parks and the city. It deals well with pollution. So when I got the wood some years ago, I removed the bark and I painted the ends to seal it to slow down the drying process. And that takes about a year per inch. If it dries too quickly or too unevenly, it can split. These are the palm tools I use to carve it. They're good for small, detailed work. Some file rasps, a knife, and a Japanese razor saw. These are stropping tools. You use them to polish the edges to keep them sharp. Now we're finally working with the wood. It takes forever to use those little palm tools to whittle away the vast chunks of wood that I don't need. So I use the Japanese razor saw to get the large chunks off. And here's the basic blank. The side view, front view are all profiled out. Now I transfer a little drawing to the blank to know where to start carving. Throughout a wood carving project, I find myself needing to hold the wood in different ways, and here I am transferring it to a different type of holder so I can raise it up to eye level. Here you see I've got this holding device in my bench vise. Right down there. And when you pan up, we can see behind the device I have the block of wood attached with a wood carver screw. Right there. So my last carving, I called it a gargoyle, and I got a lot of interesting feedback about that. People actually knew that it was technically a grotesque. I thought if I used the term grotesque, people unfamiliar with the term would be a little confused, thinking I was saying it was hideous or ugly, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's more subjective. But technically, a gargoyle is something that transfers water up in the gutters of like the roof of a cathedral. Otherwise, it's considered a grotesque. And that word comes from grotesque. The ancient Romans would decorate some grottos with some very bizarre sculpture. And that's how we got the term grotesque. Now, a lot of these grotesques had these crazy, leering faces, and that's why we might describe someone or something as grotesque these days. This is a good example of how something like the woodcarver screw can be useful. See here, I've inverted this sculpture so I can get more easily on the underside of it. So you can turn it in any direction. Oh, now it's right back up. Whatever works best with the direction I want to move the blades. You may notice I have a handkerchief, bandana rather, in my hand. The reason for this is it's sort of a buffer between my hand and the carving, so any dirt or oils won't get rubbed into the grain and stain the wood. Now I'm back to using the bench vise because I want to get the back side of the carving to round it out, and I want to put in a notch for hanging it on a nail. So the carving phase is all done. Then we move on to the finishing phase. Some Danish oil and some wax. It's very gratifying. You pull out the richness of the grain, protect it a bit. It's really when it really comes to life. Thanks for watching.